multiplayer 7 Days to Die with Silverblade.
Damn it, son of a... Ouch.
You must remember to,
88 miles per hour!
Don't you feel foolish?
Greetings, minions, Martian explorers, and fellow gamers. This is Silverblade doing a review of Lacuna Passage by Random Seed Games. This is a review video, and just to top everything off with a bit of a disclaimer, I managed to get a key to this game in exchange for doing a video review, so I didn't pay for it. This game is not out yet at the time that I record this anyway. Basically, it will be released early access on Wednesday, May 17th at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The early access price will be $14.99 US dollars, $14.99 in euros, and $10.99 in British pounds. And yeah, so if you're familiar with games like Take on Mars, Osiris, and I believe Rock is supposed to be another Mars-like exploration type game and survival game, this game is actually quite similar and almost indistinguishable. At the time that I am recording this, there is a lot of features that have yet to be added to the game, and I estimate that they'll be either out on the day of release or shortly after. One in particular is Story Mode. Coming in a future update, Jessica Rayner, the only survivor of the crashed HiRISE mission, investigates the disappearance of the first ever manned mission to Mars. With several tools at her disposal, most importantly her skills of observation, Jessica needs to uncover mission logs, recorded audio files, and other physical clues left behind at critical mission locations in order to uncover the story. An interplanetary trail of breadcrumbs awaits. Unfortunately, at the time that I'm recording this, can't do story mode, coming in a future update. So that looks to be an interesting angle to this game. What you can play, though, is the sandbox. And I've already put in several hours into this. In fact, I played, at least 8 hours minimum yesterday into this game. And, well, I'm going to explain my take on this game. So, survival sandbox. Waking up in a landing pod, you must check your equipment and venture out onto the red Martian soil in search of a nearby habitat. With 20 plus square miles of the red planet to explore, you must gather resources from randomized points of interest, supply caches, and other habitats to survive. Help us test the fundamentals of the game in this mode, which will carry over into the story mode in a later update. There's also some features in the game, as has been mentioned here, that you might come across that at the time that I record this are not available, like rovers that you can actually drive or make use of, and certain tools and objects. But anyways, let's start a new game, and I'll show you how it plays. And as we play it, I will give my thoughts about this game and see how it goes. So start it up. Hopefully it doesn't freeze up on me. There we go. So one thing I've noticed is the menu screen, which we were just at a little bit ago. I had to turn all of the volume down because when I make videos for YouTube, I don't like to have the music play because oftentimes it can get me a copyright strike. Unfortunately, there is no controls to differentiate between music and actual game sounds. So right now there is no sounds to make use of. Another thing to note is this is your data pad, and there is no mouse control to move within this menu. You have to use the arrow keys. That's an annoying little thing to me. However, the stats in here are actually pretty interesting, like your vitals, which are very important. You have your nutrition, your calorie intake, vitamin levels, lipids, which, if you don't know what a lipid is, it's the fatty bubble that your cells are made of that hold all the cellular guts, now I'm losing my brain on this, but all the things that are part of a cell. The outer casing is lipids, and without that you would turn into a puddle of liquid goo. You have your hydration levels with electrolytes, blood cell count, normal BUN, and creatinine ratio. I think the top one and the middle one, obviously electrolytes. If you watched the movie Idiocracy, you can grow plants with your electrolytes, man. Blood cell count, basically, if you're dehydrated, there's less liquid in your veins. The blood cell count goes up, fight off infections or whatever. It's not good if it gets too high or too low. As for the BUN and creatinine ratio, I believe that relates to kidney filtration. And if you are dehydrated, you don't filter out liquids or impurities in your blood and stuff like that so well. Exhaustion, if you're well rested, you do better. Obviously, blood pressure, blood oxygen, I think it's kind of self-explanatory there. Exposure, that's usually relating to radiation and temperature. And there is some radiated zones on Mars that you really don't want to be around in, because that top stat will affect the bottom stat. So if you are introduced to radiation in a bad way, it'll start making your organs fall apart, in which case you'll have to take some anti-rad or anti-radiation medication to deal with. So that's the vitals, and you have to check these out every now and then to make sure that they're up to spec. Navigation. Right now, this is all we have exposed. That yellow, or that white diamond rather, is the landing pod that we're at, and as you move around across this 20-kilometer square area here, you'll find other places, usually navsats and waystats or whatever, and they'll pop up on your map here. Some places don't show up at all, and you'll have to place a custom objective. So there's that. You can zoom in. This again would have been a whole lot better if you could, in this menu, use a mouse arrow to navigate. Makes it a lot smoother. Then we have your inventory. Now, just going through the top here, carbon filter, you use that in the water generator to filter out impurities. Circuit boards are in pretty much all of the life support devices to help make things run more efficiently. Dried beef, get your caloric intake up. Now, here's something, they must have updated this since I last played yesterday, but they've actually added in consumable calories, current calsol. There you go. I don't recall that being up there when I last played, so this is a good little improvement in just the last 24 hours, because it never specified what your caloric gain is, what boost you get. So like right here, per bottle, it's a 20% increase in hydration, and it tells you your current stats. I like this. I like that that's included. You got fuses. You need, I think, a minimum of 3 to get a lot of the equipment running. A heating element. It's tit-bit nipply on Mars, so you definitely want to be in a habitat that's warm. And this heating element, along as it is working, well, heat up your habitat so you can actually go around inside it without needing the EVA suit. It's all in Celsius, I believe, is what they measure temperature by, because it's scientific. But if it gets below 0 degrees Celsius, you're going to be a bit uncomfortable, and you're not going to be able to sleep. And that's something we'll touch on a little bit later. Solar panels. There's different size solar panels, and I'm not seeing stats for this particular one. There's portables, there's small, and there's large, and they have different power outputs. And there's another thing I want to bring up about the portable ones a little bit later. So there's these things. So we got this. Our main objective right now is to locate habitat alpha. Q key to turn on the scanner. Now this is kind of an important aspect of your suit, because without it you can't see where that objective is. So we'll head out towards it. Now, one thing I will comment on right off the bat. This game is fun, provided you have patience. I would actually say this game is very much like Lord of the Rings. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of walking. Lots of it. I mean, you could do a lot of walking in 20 square kilometers. And it can get a bit tedious. Because the majority of the surface of Mars is devoid of anything interesting at this point in the game. I imagine things will change when the rovers are put back in or put into the game and other features are in, but at the moment right now it's just a lot of friggin' walking. You can run, but you consume a lot of your oxygen a lot quicker. And also, I believe it burns out your calorie levels. So I'll go in here and complete this little mission here. And I do apologize that there is no sound right now. It's because at current state of the game, it's just one master volume slider, and you wouldn't be able to hear me over the sound of the music, which is kind of why you're here, right? Okay, let's see. Alright, there we go. So right now, habitat power is off, electrical is offline, reserve power is at 53%, electrical offline, airlock is depressurized, interior temperature is negative 18 degrees Celsius and near the exposure temp, which is the outside temperature. Heater is offline. Water is at 4.6 liters, that's 76%, but not collecting. Oxygen is at 102.9 liters, 34%, but not producing. So that's not good. Let me see here. There's another thing. You see in the inventory, this is the weather. We don't have any waysats activated yet, but you can tell if dust storms come across the surface of the planet. Those, at last I knew, are not active in the game, so you won't have any dust storms right at this point. But the navsat or the waysats have a weather station that will alert you if a dust storm is coming. And then you can take 1080p photos of certain areas. Really haven't figured out why that's really a big deal, but yeah. And then documents, as you go through and discover things and whatnot, it'll give you detailed information on what stuff you have in the game. So there's a little bit of that right there. If you hit F, turns on your light. We'll go outside the hab and we'll start working on these. Now, as you can see, right here is a large solar cell. This is a small, and okay, this one doesn't have a portable on it. Now this here, the RTG unit, is like a nuclear reactor. So if you're in a prolonged dust storm, you would put it in here, and provided that it doesn't get damaged, it'll continue to make power to run these things when your solar power isn't going to function anymore. So let's come over here to this water generator. And it says 110% power, system offline. So if we run diagnostics, now here's the thing, when you run diagnostics or do any changes or repairs even, it'll take time off from your day. If you look at the top, it's 15:47. Time kind of slides by a little bit too fast for my liking. And all, but run diagnostics. Okay, so here we go. We got a circuit board is at 57%. We got 4 fuses. Number 1 is absent. 2, 3, and 4, you need a minimum of 3 fuses to operate one of these. 2, 3, and 4 are active, and they're at different damage states. Number 5 is there, but it's not active. So that's kind of like a backup fuse. Universal hoses, which is basically a pressure valve of sorts. Number 1 is missing. Number 2 is at 77%. Carbon filters, all 3 are there. Number 1 is being used, and it's at 97%. Storage tanks, number 1 is completely damaged or destroyed, so that would need to be repaired. 2 and 3 are absent, and 4 is the only one there, and it's active. As for the solar panels, 1, 2, and 4 actually have panels, and they're operating. 3 and 5 have no panels on it, it's just a stand. And that's the damage levels for those. So what you do is you come over here to maintenance panel A, click it and open it, and you can see in here there's the, if you right mouse click, you can zoom in a little bit. You can see the fuses here are fine. There's one missing, and then we have pressure there. Now let's see, if you click on it, it says hose slot 1 is empty, slot integrity 89%. Universal hose, you can install that, and there we are. It's in there. Fuses are good for now. Over here we have, I can hardly see them. Let's see. Okay, this one's got a carbon filter. This one's got a carbon filter, and this one's got it, but slot integrity is at 60%. Now, over time, the slots will degrade, but for right now, let's get this running. So we'll come over to the power switch, turn it on, and it'll start absorbing sunlight. And there's not much sunlight left in the game for the day. Component slot failure. Okay, so somewhere. It's got enough power, and I'm thinking it's just not enough storage tanks. So let's check this. This is 69. We don't have a replacement part for it right now, which is unfortunate. So if it has that wheel, there's a tank in there. Otherwise, there's nothing in there. So 43% power because the sun's going down. Because I've been talking the whole time instead of acting, things are going to be a bit troublesome. Alright, so system offline. We can do a diagnostic. So we got a circuit board. We have a damaged fuse, or actually a broken fuse, broken wire. It still should be functional though. And sometimes the camera angle gets spun around when you leave the menu. So as you can see, right here is a portable solar panel. You can take these off and carry it on your back as a backpack to charge your suit. And every time you use Q, which shows all this, you're using power as well as when you use the lights. So there's no power right now. So we're kind of using the base power and lights. So there's no power here, but the system is offline because there is no sunlight. And we'll have to work on that in the day. Alright, so over here is our heater. You can look in here and you can see there's some heat coils. We'll do diagnostic. So heating elements, we're missing one. So we'll come over here to number 1. Click on that. we will replace component. I'm not going to worry about repairing it just yet. So we'll replace it. Put that in there. Close the door. Come over here. And as you can see, well, yeah, there's a blown fuse there. So we will repair the slot. That takes about a half hour off your life. And we will replace the fuse. And we need 3 of them, I believe, minimum, to get this thing rolling. And there's a circuit board at 75%, so that's still good. This is what it looks like with lights out. So it gets really dark. You don't want to use your lamp all that much. But try to get inside the base, or the habitat. Now this here is oxygen. This is a very important thing. Let's run diags. Gonna need some carbon filters. We got storage tanks. Only 2 solar panels, so we'll have to. Let's see. We should have. There we go. We got one there. Here we get. No, we don't have another one. Okay, so we'll close that. Check this. That looks good. Those look good. I mean, it's cursory look, but they're not blown. They're not missing. So we'll come over here. We'll turn this on. So as soon as daylight kicks in, which is about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, these will start functioning again. So electrical module back online. That's back here. We need to get the wires replaced, I think, is what is wrong with it. So, yeah, we got to place a wire in there. There we go. It should. Okay, fuses. Oh, the second wire is burnt out on this, so we have to replace that, or repair it and then replace. And I'm dangerously low on juice right now. And there goes my power. Oops. Shazbutt. Now I have no headlights. And I can work without the fuse. And I just died. I froze to death. Life on Mars is brutal. So let's see if we can continue it. I don't think it'll let us, because we didn't go to sleep. But I guess we did. Alright, so anyways, this is what it looks like inside the habitat. This is the airlock that we first popped into when we got here. But you have a storage area for materials, and this is what's in this container here. This is what we have in here. We got a first aid kit. This is also where you'd put like tools and consumables. So we got some food and the like in there. Here's where you could check habitat status. Habitat power is on. It's at 100% and charging. Airlock is pressurized. Interior temperature is about 20 degrees Celsius and stable. So this is about a comfortable temperature. Mind you, I think it's what is it, 36.8 or something like that Celsius is body temperature. So this is like probably in the 70s or so in Fahrenheit. My conversion in my brain isn't so good. But water, 3.8 liters, 63% and collecting. Oxygen, 150 liters, it's 100%, so that's good. And the reason why it's good is when you leave, it will recharge and refill your suit with oxygen and electricity. So that's why you want to check on that. Another thing, and this was confusing to me first because I didn't know what the deal is here, but you can craft items and salvage items. If you craft items, I have no crafting plans. At first I thought this was because it's not in the game yet, but actually it is. You go to salvage items, and if I had items to salvage, say like an oxygen tank or tools or something like that, and you salvage it, you get the a reduced amount of the manufacturing cost for those parts, but you get a blueprint that goes in the crafting items that you can use to actually build more stuff, provided you have the base resources to build those things. That was something that was a little confusing to me about this game, so there's a little bit of a lack of a tutorial in that regard. I wish there was a little bit more to it, but I get it. It took me a while, but I get it. So there really isn't much else. I mean, you can't go in this door. It's available to click on, but it won't open. This is a doorway, a stairway to nowhere, not to heaven. The beds. Now this is kind of an important part of this too, and this is the main reason why you have to maintain power, water, heat, and oxygen in your habitat, is because without it you can't sleep. You can't sleep in your EVA suit. So if you don't have that warm enough or oxygenated or any electricity, you can't sleep. So if you go to click on this, I like lots of sleep. And so we're going to sleep for a long period of time. Now as you see, we'll sleep for 16 hours and burn 480 calories. So there is a cost to this. And we'll go just before 6 a.m. So saving, that's what it does. It saves the game for you. It also eats up some of your caloric intake or your calorie buildup or whatever. So, alright, so we're at 420 calories. What can build up our calories quick? 100 there, 350 there. So we want to boost this up as quick as we can. So withdraw. Withdraw. And of course we're going to need some water because we're almost dehydrated. And we'll just withdraw all this and keep an eye on things. So we'll go. Now mind you, I'm doing this all with a keyboard and not with a mouse, which is still annoying. And as you can see, nutrition's pretty bad. Hydration's pretty bad, or really bad. Exposure's okay. Now we have the decreased organ integrity, probably because of dying, and our overall health is suffering now. We're well rested, normal blood pressure, but we got below normal blood oxygen. So we got to do something about that. Navigation. So as you see, we're there. I thought I reloaded the game that I was playing previously. Alright, so now let's eat some things. So we'll hit E, bring up the data pad, go over to inventory, consume, and as you see we're at 819 calories. Consume that, and we'll just drink until we are like a water fountain. Now, I do like now that they've added that. I think there has been a small update since I last played, which was yesterday. And I am liking that it has these stats over here for hydration increase, calorie levels, and stuff like that. Because it made it really difficult to have to bounce back and forth through the menus of this to get things figured out to where you're at. This can do a little bit of a change too. I would like where it says switch to deposit, where that has a list of your personal inventory, and then this other column where you see these things up here already, the storage containers stuff. Instead you have switch to deposit, switch to withdraw. So right now we can deposit 25 bottles of water, and boom, it's in there. Now as the base creates water, it'll automatically put it in your consumables section here. So that makes it kind of nice that you don't have to haul it around. So let's go outside. Actually, before we do that, let's grab materials. Chemical concentrate. Essentially it's a subcomponent for making stuff. Each of these items have weight to them, and you have a maximum weight of 50 kilograms that you can carry. You can carry more than that, but it just slows you down and encumbers you for the most part. It doesn't so much say that, but in my experience in the last 24 hours of playing this, that's what it's supposed to be. But I've had up to, I think it was close to 60 kilograms, and it didn't seem to affect me in any way that I can tell. So now it's loading to go outside. No, I don't see a body out here, because this is one of those games where you die, game over. Don't leave a body behind type of thing. Alright, so component slabs functional, 100% power. I just want to make sure these are at 100%. 100% power. Everything's functional. There is sounds to the game, just so you know, and if you are running, you'll hear a very feminine huffing and puffing of trying to run in this suit. If you really wreck your health, she'll really be huffing and puffing, and you'll hear the crunch of the sand beneath your feet. So now, let's see, we have a map here, and it doesn't exactly show where we are quite well. Well, we'll do this. Hit Q, it brings up the scanner. We need to find a waysat, which is like a way station / weather station. So right there is habitat. Right there is a waysat. Now you'll see a white diamond there. That I'm suspecting, and for some reason I'm not seeing my location on here. And again, it would really be appreciated if they would. Yeah, it's not even centered on me. Locked map centered on location. So something's changed to the map since. Yeah. Anyway, we'll just get moving because this will take a little bit. I think your scanning range, the last I knew, and I haven't seen any change log, is 1,000 meters or a kilometer. And it looks like that is closer. I'm thinking that might be. Yeah, that's my landing pod. So that's already been stripped of anything useful. So we'll come out here to the waysat. And basically, these are kind of like a trail of breadcrumbs. You get to one, and within a certain range of it, you might find a white diamond location or not. You have to kind of do some search patterns around it till you find another blip on the scanner, and then walk to that. And I do say walk because it is better to walk. It takes forever, but you can do it. Along the way, if you're very observant, if you're very sharp and eagle-eyed, you might find some things out here in this clusterfuck of a rock field. I played this game several times in the sense of starting several different games to get a different feel for the starting, and it's randomized for the most part. You do start generally in the same location, but things around you, like supply caches and stuff like that, get spaced out a little differently. I found a rover on one game, like literally 100 meters away from my landing pod. One time I was walking across, I'd say the desert, but the whole damn planet's a desert, but I was walking across a plains, desert plains as it were, and it didn't even come up on the scanner, but I found 3 solar panels on pedestals, like someone had tried to set up a solar array and left it there, and it didn't even show up with a white diamond. I found an actual rover that you can sit in and drive, but you can't at this point in the game. It isn't activated, so all you could do is loot from the storage container in it. Found that. I found a place where someone had buried something, but you need a shovel to excavate it. I found an RNG or RMMG, the basically the nuclear device to put in where the habitat devices during dust storms, and I found one of those and actually got to dug it up because I did find a shovel. I didn't actually get to use it though because I died before I got back to my habitat, but I did find 3 different habitats: Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, and all in one game. So I was pretty proud of that. So Waysat discovered and added to navigation. So we'll come up here and basically we got to do some maintenance. So as you see, there's no fuses. This here is at 95%. Usually what I've been doing in my playthroughs of this is if it's below 80%, I will repair it. But there's a point where it's no point in doing it because, like I said, it takes half an hour sometimes to... Oh, and I'm out of fuses. Great. Should have known about that before I left. But you can turn these on. They have an internal solar array here. And now, let's see, full map. Now we can see where I'm at. You see my little chevron there? That's me. The purple circle is a habitat. The white diamond is my landing pod or any other object in the area. So we're going to just head off this way. And like I said, this game is a lot of walking. So get the scanner out. So it looks like there's something right there. So we're going to head towards that. Unless that's... No, that's a new site. So we'll see what this is. It's quite a ways away. Let me wet my whistle here. 95% of walking out here will get you nothing. You will not find a damn thing. There's nothing through most of the walks that I've found. It's only on rare occasion did I find anything interesting that wasn't marked. So it's almost kind of, at this point in the game, kind of pointless to be out here searching for stuff. I mean, you are out here walking a lot, and there is a nice zoom function. I think the zoom should be a little bit better, more focused, like a binoculars or like a scope. It gives you a much more extended zoom. But again, this game is in early development. It's early access. It'll come out again on Wednesday, May 17th. In the last 24 hours, obviously, like I had mentioned, there's been some updates because it didn't get to see... I didn't see the caloric value of food or hydration level of bottled water last time I played it a day ago. So they are actively doing updates to the game, which I think is very encouraging. It is playable in its state right now. Once you find all 3 habitats, you're pretty much done. One thing I am concerned about is the longevity of the game. Once you find the habitats, at least at this stage, and maybe even do the story mode, then you're done. How many hours that is of actual gameplay and not just walking a lot? That's the question. But it does feel like you're on Mars. You do feel a great sense of isolation or solitude. I kind of take some peace in that. But what's this? This looks new and different and strange. I don't. Oh yeah, this is the rover that I was telling you about. The disabled PRT. So you come up here. Let's see if I turn off the scanner. Maybe I have to get in the back or the other side. There we go. PRT storage. So look at this. All these goodies in here. Withdraw, confirm. See, this could be done a little bit better too. Like, it's not so bad with individual things, but with multiples, if you're trying to get a whole bunch of stuff, they don't have a take all option. That, I think, would have been a little bit more helpful. Because otherwise you're just sitting there, whack, 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 whack. And some of these things, I would like to be able to use, like the rock pick on things, but there's nothing. I mean, you can only use those items when something is highlighted to use an item. And I'll explain that in just a moment here. Okay, so let's say this door here is fused shut or something, and you had a pry bar. Okay, so ignore that it doesn't. That it says left click to interact, but it says, you know, locked container. Okay. You don't have items in your hand, so you can't like click on it to use a pry bar physically, visually with your hands to pry it open. You can only use those tools when it has the prompt to say like left click to interact. So it kind of, I don't know, it kind of takes away a little bit from the game where you can only use tools. I mean, I want to be able to sit there and beat the hell out of a rock and physically see it, you know. So that kind of lacks some of that tactile-ness to the game, that you can touch and manipulate and feel things. We'll turn off the light because it's going to be very non-conducive to my health levels. I'll probably end up dying again. Mostly because I'm describing the game and not paying as much dedicated attention as I was in my regular playthrough. But anyways, as for this game, my thoughts on it, it's got some potential. I do think it's got a limited amount of gameplay time. And by that, I mean, once you find certain things in the game, things don't replenish. So once you find everything and you've consumed everything, you're dead. And that's end game. Replay value, I guess once you, I mean, if you've beaten it, really. And then you're done with it. Unless they come out with new module like story mode missions or something like that, or different maps would be interesting. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to play on the Martian poles where there's like ice and that kind of stuff there, or even to be able to climb Olympus Mons, the largest I can't even talk. The largest mountain in the solar system. I mean, it makes Mount Everest look like a molehill. But I really don't see much in terms of a replay value once you've beaten it. It is still fun. I gotta get some oxygen. Inventory, and there is an oxygen tank right there for 50%. Alright, so we'll keep walking. And then you can walk while you have that pad open, which is kind of a nice touch. So the replay value isn't very high, unless, you know, new changes come into the game down the road, which, yeah, I'm sure the developers are working to do something about that. The graphics are pretty decent. I actually like it. As you can see in the upper left corner of my screen, I'm getting some really high frame rates. Of course, it is black right now, but during the daytime, I am getting above 60 frames per second on the average. And when you consider I play games like 7 Days to Die, Space Engineers, Empyrean Galactic Survival, where I might get 30 to 40 on average frames per second, and less in more complicated graphic situations. Getting over 100 is actually quite good. So I am pleased with the graphic play in terms of its looks. It's Mars. It ain't gonna look very, very exciting in terms of colors and such, but in terms of smoothness and all that, and this is with my settings maxed out. I do have one little issue with the game, not having a 1080p resolution. That is a little bit of a problem, and that goes to the lack of options in the menu. I think they need to have separated volume controls, and really this is 2017 in an age where 8-core computers can technically be considered a standard, and we have visual resolutions on a game like this that only go up as high as 720p. That's a little behind the times, but I'm sure that could be worked out in a future update. I don't see a point to the photo option, really. I mean, everything on Mars looks like a bunch of rocks and mountains and plains, almost indistinguishable from another pile of rocks, mountains, and plains. So if you want to see a lot of red or orange and rock, okay, there's a photo option. I don't really see at this point its use. Now, I suspect it might be part of a storytelling element, but again, the story mode is off at this point. Other things, there needs to be a little bit more to do than just find point A, great, then point B, then point C, and then, what do you do when you find all the habitats? What do you do when you find all of the caches of supplies and sats and all that? You basically just sit around and die. And I've played this game to, right now it's Sol 2 or Day 2. I played this till I think it was day 20 or 21 before I was done. I was just like, okay, fine. There's nothing else to look for. So that gives you about, well, for me, I think that was about 10 hours? No, it was less than that. In any case, it gives you a set number of hours of play, and then you're kind of done. Functionality of things, I do like the go around and repair things and do maintenance things, but there needs to be more to existing in this game than just eating food, drinking water, running around, fixing things, wash, rinse, repeat. I don't know how you could do that in a game like this, though. There's really not a heck of a lot to explore except more rocks and trying to find everything. Again, I'm playing an early release of the game that doesn't have all of its functions available, so take from this what you will. As for the potential of the game, like I said, they could do a whole lot of different story modes, and I would like to see something like an Escape from Mars thing where you have to put the parts together to build an escape rocket, or to build a fully set up habitat so that you can get others to come. Something along those lines would be kind of nice, but that's down the road. Again, I'm playing an early version of the game, and I don't have a full understanding or a full knowledge of what the developers have in mind. Eat some peanuts. These are probably one of the best. These, and I think peanut butter is like the best calories. And ketchup packets and grape jelly. Bachelor chow. Let's see, macaroni rich in carbs. Okay. Now what we got here? Chickpeas. But yeah, it is fun if you have the patience, and I really think it's If you're a fan of Take on Mars or Osiris without the monsters, I guess, then you might want to check out this game. Again, it's $14.99, $10.99 in pounds. Comes out May 17th at noon on Steam. I'm not sure if it comes out on any other platform, to be honest with you. I only check for PC games, so yeah. So equipment, you can actually get to see some of the equipment here. Oh, and this deployed portable solar panel. Let's see. And portable solar panel that is currently deployed. You cannot run it while it is deployed during EVA. So apparently it was automatically deployed when I picked it up. I'll know if it really works if I'm carrying it and it automatically charges up my electricity. So we'll go to sleep. We'll sleep until, and that'll work. So we'll save the game. Now you can only have one save at a time, and I believe it's saved on cloud, so you don't have a save file on your hard drive, to the best of my knowledge. So you can't actually do like a game backup save, which kind of sucks, but there's that. And we'll get outside of the hab here. It should be starting to get daylight here. Yeah, sun's just starting to come up. And I didn't have enough oxygen. I didn't have enough energy to fully recharge my suit because we didn't get these things rolling until a little bit late. So the main batteries on the hab didn't get fully charged. So let's see here. Inventory. Okay, deploy. So now we have a, oh, let's see, maybe I have to equip. Yeah, with equipped, watch the power meter. Yeah, it's starting to go up. So that is now charging my suit. The nice thing about the portable things, and you have to make sure you go through that whole process of deploying it, equipping it, whatever, is if you take some oxygen bottles with you and very little inventory, for instance, like if we pack all this stuff up in here, all this away in the hab, and then just carried these oxygen containers, maybe some fuses, and then this, you can go a lot farther, and you know, you just keep refilling your oxygen from time to time. About 18:30 is when it gets dark. And if you conserve your electricity throughout the night as much as you can walk all night out here on the surface of the planet. You'll be losing power the whole time because it heats up your suit to keep you from freezing to death. But if you conserve your power, when 6:30 or 6 o'clock, 6:30 rolls around, it'll start charging your suit up again, and you can just keep going. So it gives you a little bit more extended reach. So those deployed portable solar panels are a godsend. But you can only go as far as you have oxygen, and also you can only go as far as your vitals will allow. And I need to drink more water. But you can only eat and drink in a habitat, which is kind of unfortunate, but it makes some sense. I mean, you don't actually open up your visor and pop the food right in, right? You can only do that when you have a pressurized atmosphere that you can breathe and stick it in your mouth and chew. Although I do think that one thing astronauts do is they have a little port on their suit that they can feed a straw into the food, and then that straw kind of goes into the port and it makes a seal, and then they can drink from a straw within the suit. I think that's a thing. But yeah, that might be a detail overlooked in the game. I have seen things, hinted things that aren't in the game now, that could very well be, like greenhouses. Haven't been able to really build any structures. That's one thing that was lacking so far in this pre-release version of the game. You can't build anything out here. But yeah, greenhouses, and then pop tents, which I believe is just what the word says. It's a pop tent. You put it on the ground, open it up. You can crawl inside it, pressurize it if you're out on an extended search of things, and you can eat, drink, sleep on the go. But I haven't seen any of the parts required for that yet. That might be waiting a future update to the game. So anyways, I have run quite long in this review of this game. Overall, I would say, in terms of a game that isn't quite released yet, is still in development. We'll be working on constant updates, I'm sure. I would rate this game a 6.5 out of 10. Just because limited concept, limited playability, replayability, in the overall long run of things. The inability to change things in the menu, like volume, individual volume controls, as well as the screen resolutions, were kind of limited. The lack of mouse controls for these kind of things, it's a little bit of a chunky interface compared to most games of the same nature. But overall, I mean, the graphics are good. My best of my experience, I have not had any serious bugs like crashes to desktop or freezing or any of that thing, any of that sort. It's worked pretty smoothly. I enjoyed playing it for the time I have, and it is a little addicting, so I'll warn you of that. But yeah, I think a 6.5 is probably a fair assessment for a game that, with a history that, early access games have had, where people can cut and run. I'm trying to be fair but optimistic. I think this game has some potential and all. So a 6.5, considering the state the game is in, is actually, I think, a fairly respectable, about right grade for this game. I might come back later after a few more updates have dropped and after the release, and probably do an updated video for this game if I deem it necessary. But yeah, you do check out the game for yourself. It's relatively cheap. It's only $15 US, $11 UK. And if this is your kind of thing, just remember you have to have some patience to get where you want to go. And yeah, it's a fun little exploratory game. Just think Subnautica above the sea, far away from drops of water. Alright, everybody, that is enough for this review. I hope that this has been enlightening, that it's been a fair review. Pros and cons have been fully explored, and you guys be the final arbiter, the final judge on if it's a worthy game for you based on my limited critique and what you've seen thus far. So thanks to Random Seed Games for providing this game to me free. Of course, it was in exchange for doing this video, but it helps me get the word out for games that I think might be a lot of fun and worth checking out. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Do check out the links in the description box below. I'll include a link to this game on Steam's workshop. If it doesn't work at first, wait until after the release date, and it should be working then. Alright, guys, that's it. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, see you later. Twitch. Man, I need some peanut butter. I'm hungry now.